Here are my pro ways to use trend lines to navigate steep up or down action. I've been doing this for 26 plus years using price action, market timing, and momentum, and I'm going to use current price action to show you step by step how you can do this as well. Now, before we get to the charts, important reminder that trading and investing can be extremely risky business. Therefore, it's your responsibility to evaluate any information, opinion, advice, or content contained in this video. All right, let's head to the charts. All right, here we have the current front month of the E-mini S&P 500 futures. Now, this applies not only to the ES or futures, but any market, any security that's moving as you see here. So first, there was some sideways action, right? Kind of a trendless environment. Then it started to trade lower. Not quite steep, right? This is kind of a typical 45-degree angle. What we're going to hone in on is what happened at the end of this down move, okay? So this is the action that we're going to dial in on for how you navigate steep trends. Now, when the action unfolds, you're not going to know where to draw the trend line right away. So the first myth to bust is that trend lines are applicable at all times and all moments. You got to let the price action unfold. Now here, I saw this recovery unfolding, and for various fundamental and market reasons, I did not know or think that it was going to continue higher. But the moment it did, I shifted my gears to be able to track it. Now here, it wasn't super steep yet, but it started to become so. So this is where you can start to analyze. So let's make these nice big fat candles so you can see exactly what I'm doing. All right, so same candles, just super zoomed in action. All right, so the first thing that I do when I'm trying to navigate steep action is I look at the low or high that started the move. So in this case, that's a low. Here on this chart was March 31st. Now, where you connect your trend line is the next most important thing, okay? So what I learned when I was starting to learn to trade with my late father is that the actual action is most importantly anchored to the price area that created the next move. So you might look at this action here and say, well, this is an important low on April 2nd, right? Because it's the lowest part of the correction. But actually here on April 7th is when things started picking up. That was the last day before the break higher. So in drawing this trend line here, I'm going to use the extreme low and that April 2nd low. Now I like to use, in my brain, neutral colors for trend lines. So for me, that's like orange and purple, and they just don't mean a lot of specific things. You can use whatever colors you want. And then you also want to make sure your trend lines are snapped exactly to the price action. Snap, magnet mode, whatever your platform uses, TradeStation calls it snap, okay? Great, now I have this trend line. So we can see that the action respected the trend line, meaning it pulled up and away. Now, this is great if we get a pullback, but what if, because of this being a little bit of steeper action, the market trades higher and I want to know where it might pause or stop? Here's the other cool part of this pro tip, okay? So you have that initial trend line that you created. Now, in the technical analysis textbook land, this is not a confirmed trend line yet, okay? It's tentative because it only has 2 touches. But still, it's okay, you're a real life trader, right? You got to deal with real life situations. Clone that trend line. You make a new parallel, clone, copy, whatever your software calls it, and then locate the high in between the 2 lows. This is for drawing an up trend line. You flip it and reverse it for down one. That's this high right here on this chart, April 1st. Now, this is extremely important, what I'm about to do. First, I'm going to just nudge it into place. I'm not going to resnap it because that's going to change the trend line. We want this line to be an exact parallel of the original line, okay? I'm going to manually put it as best I can in place, and then here's the key. Make it a dashed line. Dashed, dot, whatever you want to call it, but it should not be a solid line. Because this is a projection of an original trend line, it's not the key trend action itself, but it could be a useful guide. And that's exactly what unfolded. Look at how this angle of this upper line helped shape what was going on in this steep trend until the next move. And then here we are with the next push higher after coming back on the April 13th candle in this action towards that lower trend line, pushing up again, but not touching the upper orange trend line. And most recently, currently, starting to consolidate. So these are the ways that you can systematically navigate steep trend action, whether it's up and to the right like this or down and to the right. Okay, it works for downtrends too. Now, here's another pointer. Your trend line, the solid one, the support in this case, can become really important price support or price floor, but it is never more important than a previous past traded level. So for example, if this market trades down lower and it doesn't quite touch the orange line, but it holds support at these two lows, which happen to be matching, that's more important than the trend line itself, okay? So don't ever take a trend line and make it a more important support or resistance than actual traded price levels. That will help you best navigate. So right now, this channel, if you will, is in motion. I have my guardrails for whether this is gonna be continuation, we get a pop higher, and then gives me an upside target, right? But if it comes down and breaks below the downtrend, I'm ready for that as well. And the final piece of this is that if you decide you want to translate this to another time frame, keep in mind that it won't look quite exactly the same, okay? It can, but chances are it won't be exact. So I prefer to kind of really focus in on them on one time frame, even if I'm trading a lower or high time frame, and then just use the values of the trend line here as the guide. So hope that was helpful. So you have the steps now to what to look for to navigate these steep trends in action. So if you found value in this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel so you get notifications as soon as the videos are up, and I'll catch you in the next one. You can sign up at the link to get my hot, timely, actionable updates as soon as I publish right to your inbox.